Stop. Just stop. Push the pause button on your life. If you feel like you're breaking, if you feel like inside you are just overwhelmed, and just things are just keep coming at you all different directions, just push the pause button and take a break. Okay? We are not machines. We are human beings, and we've got to take breaks. Okay? I understand understand this completely. When I wanted to start my YouTube, excuse me, when I wanted to start my YouTube channel, so many people just said, "You can't do this. You're too old to do this. Why are you doing this? Aren't you retired?" And I had to just push stop and say, "Okay, enough. I'm not going to let other people manipulate me." The other thing is, too, what I want you to do is this. Don't get caught up with the material world. I have to have all this now. Get what you can now. Work and get what you can now. Just stop and push the pause button. Sit down and say, where am I? What are the pressures that are on me? What are the pressures that are on my back that are just making me want to break? Just break, not snap. Break. First of all, I want to say that I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a clinical. I have no degree in that kind of stuff. I'm just giving you my personal life stories, okay, on my videos. Just want to make that clear. And if you feel like you're at that breaking point where you're so deep into close to breaking, go seek professional help. I mean, I'll try to help you guys as much as I can, but if that's where you're at, seek that professional help. If you want to buy my book, quick advertisement, just go on my YouTube channel under Buy Me a Coffee. Click on that, you can go and you buy the book. As I was saying earlier in my videos, I went through a lot of breaking moments. There was a moment when I was living in Clearwater, Florida. I think I was 26, 27 years old. And that is a really close age for breaking points, because you're just starting your life. You're getting a foothold in what you want to do. You're getting focused sort of what you want to do, or you're thinking of making some hard decisions, from 18 to 25, really critical years where, should I go to college? Am I in college? Am I finishing college? Just getting out of high school, all that kind of stuff. And I remember I was an entertainer at the time. I was playing guitar, local bars and lounges. And I was having a lot of family issues with my mom and dad. They didn't want me to do that. I wanted to do that. And I had a breaking point. I remember being in the kitchen. I got up at 2 o'clock in the morning, being in the kitchen, and I just snapped. I just snapped. And I remember back then, we used to have these big giant Coke bottles where you could bring them back and you can get a nickel a piece. And I had probably 30 or 40 of, maybe not that many, 25 of them on a shelf. And I started taking these bottles and I was throwing them through the windows. I was busting them in the sink. I was busting them on the floor. And I went through probably 5 or 10 minutes of this rant. This is like 5 o'clock in the morning. There's nobody there but me. And I started just destroying everything. I put my fist through the wall, and I just had to get that break. I had to get that breakthrough and get through that. And I remember, I literally, I was in my briefs, okay? No shirt, just me in my briefs. And I stood there after I got doing this rage. And like I said, I think I was around 23, 24 years old. And I got done doing this rage. And I stood there and I looked down. And I literally was surrounded by broken glass of all these soda bottles. I couldn't move. I could not step in any direction without stepping on glass. And I remember reaching for a broom. And I got the handle of the broom. I took the broom and I swept enough away for me to walk to get out of that spot. And I got close to the phone. And back then, dating myself, we had a phone hanging on the wall. I had a yellow phone that was on the wall in the kitchen. And I remember to myself, I am going to sell everything I own except for my guitar and an amplifier and my guitar, and I'm getting the hell out of Clearwater, Florida. Because what was breaking me was everybody around me telling me how to live my life. And I'm getting to the point of this video, but I had to give you this example. So I remember looking at the phone, thinking of that thought, and I remember slumping down against the wall, and I was sitting on the floor, and I started to cry. And I'm surrounded with all this broken glass. And that's when I thought, at that point in people's lives, or in my life, me personally in my life, once I get down that low, I get strength to pull back up. Some people don't. You know, they start drinking, they start doing drugs, they give up, all that. But I don't. I know my limits. I know my levels, my limits. And I know once I got down to that point, it was time to make a serious decision in my life. Or who knows what would have happened. So I got back up. I got to the phone and I called one of my best friends, Al. He was another musician. And I said, Al, this is like 6 o'clock in the morning. I woke him up. I said, what are you doing? I said, I am getting the hell out of Clearwater, Florida. I'm moving to LA and I'm going to make it. I'm not going to stay going in this vicious circle, working in the same clubs over and over again, the same people telling me negative stuff. I just can't do it anymore. He said, okay. So I did. I sold everything, my whole apartment. I had a little recording studio back then. I sold all my recording gear. I sold everything except my guitar, my amplifier, some clothes. Had a 1969 Volkswagen Bug Black. And I packed it up. And once I got everything sold, I was gone. The reason I'm telling you this story is that you have to know your breaking limits. Okay, everybody has a breaking limit. Everybody has a breaking point where there's too much. I just can't deal with the kids anymore. I can't deal with my husband anymore. I can't deal with my wife anymore. I can't deal with my job anymore. You know, and it's all about, you get all this stuff built up inside you, and you just start boiling over, and the next thing you know, you snap, you break. You know, some people handle it, some people don't. Okay, so the point of this video is know your breaking point. And when you know your breaking point, how much you can endure, how much you can deal with, how much bullshit you can deal with, then you can say, stop. Push the pause button so you don't go down as deep as I did, or deeper, okay? I learned my stop button, where my pause button was, during that episode. I thought, this is how much I can deal with. This is how much bullshit I can deal with internally and externally in my life before I start to go a little nuts, okay? So, search deep into yourself and find where that pause button is. How much will you deal with before you make that change? How much will you deal with before you push the pause button? And this is the whole crux of this video. You push the pause button on the external stuff coming to you and how you react to that external stuff. I was dealing with my family wanting me to work for the family. I didn't want to work for my family. I didn't want to do construction work. I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be an entertainer. I didn't want to work for on the family farm. I did that. I grew up. I wanted my own life. I keep burping every time I do a video. I don't know why. So what I'm trying to tell you is this. Know your limits. Know your limits of what you can take on your shoulders. Understand your limits of how much weight you can take. Everybody's different. Some people can take a ton, some people can't. But you can build your limits on how much you can take by understanding yourself. And by understanding yourself, you hit stop, push the pause button, and say, okay, I'm not going to deal with these people right now. I'm not going to get involved with this right now. I'm going to focus on this right now. I'm going to stay laser focused on me right now because I don't want it to get too close to that breaking point. And we all know we have that breaking point. You know, I have a lot of associates that I work with, and I can see where they're at by the way, by their language, by the way they speak, by their attitude every day, that they might be getting close to that breaking point. And you have to know that. You have to internally understand inside you, inside in your gut feeling that, okay, I've had enough. I've had enough. I've had enough of the kids screaming. I've had enough of the husband's abuse or the wife's abuse. Blah, can't say the word abuse. You guys will understand. You guys that watch me all the time will understand. Sometimes if I'm speaking and I'm just channeling and bringing stuff out, I tend to stutter. It's because my brain and my mouth are going quicker than one another like that. And I go, you know, and then I have to stop and reset. It's just the way my brain works, but the information gets out, which is what's important. So, if you feel like you're at a breaking point in your life, now, sit down. You know, I'm not going to tell you this guru beat bullshit about, oh, write everything down, make a list. Just sit down and immerse yourself into your own being. Just, when I mean immerse, just sit down and in a calm moment and just think about how you feel. Think about how you feel internally. Do you feel stressed? Do you feel anxious? Do you feel, where's the level? Where are those levels of how you feel? And if you do this in the morning, which is a really good time, or you could do this in the evening before you go to bed, but in the morning's best. If you can just take 5 minutes, just 5. That's not a finger, that's a thumb, you know. Just take 5 minutes in the morning and sit in a quiet space. And if people interrupt you or you think you're going to get interrupted, try to figure out a space during the day when you can take that 5 minutes to dig deep. I'm slumping. Dig deep into what you believe is getting you to that breaking point, and focus on it and think about it. And the more you put that in your head, your brain subconsciously will start working out a situation, working out a solution for that process. Okay, so you have to go internally before you can do anything externally. Okay, everything happens internally, emotionally, biologically, physically, all that. Everything comes from our core. Okay, just dig deep into your core and just focus on that core and think where you're at and look at it on a very linear space. I'm here and I want to be here. But here is a lot of chatter, a lot of vibration, a lot of negative energy, a lot of I'm going to break, I'm going to break, I'm going to break. How do I get that to calm down? How do I get that to go even? You have the answer. And sometimes we have to break before we can push the pause. Sometimes we have to break completely, like breaking an egg open. Break that egg open and it just smooths out. Sometimes we have to get to that point where we're going to go, okay, I'm getting close, just losing it. I'm going to lose it. But then pause and think about why, how you are reacting to your external environment. How we react to our external environment is up to us, okay? At that time, I was young. I didn't know that. I was 25, 26 years old. I didn't realize I was letting the external world affect my internal world, which affected me deeply. You know, I was letting my father bother me, my mother bother me, my local friends push pressure on me, pressure. And next thing you know, boom, I'm in the middle of my kitchen and I'm breaking Coke bottles, okay, and I'm losing my mind. In a sense, and I think it's like building strength. It's like building internal strength. You don't build internal strength until you go through some suffering or some pain, okay? What's really scary nowadays is a lot of people that are growing up, a lot of younger kids that are growing up, are not allowed to feel pain or not allowed to suffer. Or if Johnny falls off the bike, oh, it's a big deal. You got to wear a helmet. You got to cover it. There's too much protection going on in our society right now, because when they do feel pain, they won't know how to handle it. When they do experience a loss, experience a failure, they will not know how to handle it. So that pain builds that strength. So early on in my life, in my early 20s, I felt that deep pain of, and all these emotions came in. Hatred, I hated my family, I hated my life, I hated myself, I hated my ability, I hate. All this was bottled up in me for many years because I didn't know how to deal with it. I had nobody around me to help me deal with it. So what did I do? I'm in my apartment and I broke. And when I broke and I started breaking all those Coke bottles and I slumped down and I thought to myself, that moment I'm going to call my buddy, I'm going to sell everything, I'm going to move to California. That was the stop button. That was the pause button. The roller coaster didn't go all the way to the bottom. The roller coaster stopped and just started doing this, going back and forth. It gave me a chance to decide if I want to go this way, I'll go this way, or just plateau. So I plateaued. I plateaued long enough to logically understand in my own mind what I needed to do to save my own life, to make my own life what I wanted it to be, okay? So, this is the point of this video. When you get to that point, or you're near that point, push, stop. Just stop and rethink your life, your environment, your job, your relationship, your health, your living experience, your living environment, everything. Just put it all out there and say, this has got to end. This that's coming into my life, this negative energy, that's coming into me, that's tearing me apart, that's making me break more than once or twice or 3 times, or every now and then I break and I cry. That's what crying is good for. People cry at weddings when they're happy. People cry at funerals when they're sad. Crying is a natural way of keeping you from breaking, okay? Even when somebody is crying a lot and you feel like they're suffering, they go, oh, I've lost a loved one, or something really tragic happened in their life. That is your system, your mind, your body, and your essence. That's a way of letting it out. That's a way of letting out that pressure, like a pressure cooker. Shh. Okay? So if you feel like crying it out, cry it out. Some people laugh. I remember going to my grandmother's funeral. It's so bad. And me and my cousin were sitting in the back. This is back in the 70s. And we were just goofing off and laughing. I remember uncles would come in, they wear that one black suit and the pants are too short, and they got the white socks and you can see their legs. Because, they had one suit and it wouldn't fit them, they'd be too tight. And we saw because we were kids, I was like 14 and she was like 13. We saw the comical side of the funeral. And that was our way of keeping ourselves from crying and from breaking, our breaking point, from losing our grandmother, okay? And because we didn't quite understand it that much, we just, okay. But I remember standing with her at the back of the church, people coming in, and we're cracking up, we're laughing, like, okay, stop. And she goes, stop, we gotta stop, because they were crazy. But that was another way of pushing the pause button before you do the break, before the break happens, okay? You can push the pause button, the stop button before it happens, or you can push it after. But eventually, you have to push it and say, I'm done. I am going to change my life. I am going to focus on changing my life. Once you make that decision, once you make that final decision that you can't go any further, because if you break too much, you'll be broken, and you don't want to be broken. It's like a vase. You break a vase, there's a crack in it, you can fix it. But those cracks make it stronger. The glue, it makes it stronger. But if it breaks too much, you don't have a vase anymore. Is it a vase or a vase? I don't know. That's another analogy, okay? Or if you break a dish, you don't want it to be completely broken. Like yourself, internally. If you feel you're at a breaking point in your life, sit down, think about where you are. If you need real help, seek real help. But most of us don't. Most of us, you just got to deal with it. You just got to deal with this. I got to wrap my head around this, find out why is it driving me nuts, and just got to deal with it. And here's the thing. Start with just simple baby steps. I know I did. I crashed, and I said, okay, fine, I'm gonna move to California. That was my escape. It was more like an escape. That's how deep I was. So if it's an escape, it's an escape. Go for it. But if it's not, and you can do it in small increments and say, okay, I'm building myself out of this. I'm growing myself out of this. You're going to be fine. That's my video for the day. And love you guys. And if you want to buy my book, promotion real quick, just go on, buy me a coffee on my YouTube channel, and you can buy my book. Or you can buy me a coffee for $2. That would be great. So put all the whatever I'm making, I put back into doing my videos. Here's the other thing. Do me a big favor, you guys that are subscribed to my channel. Big favor, please. Big favor. Tell a friend about my channel. Tell a friend to subscribe. got to get my subscribers up.